Assalamu alaikum and welcome to the Progeny special podcast for the holy month of Ramadan. Inshallah, you're all well. Inshallah, you're wherever you are, you're safe, and may Allah bless and protect you and your loved ones and your families. And inshallah, we go through this difficult time together, hopefully, and we come out, inshallah, stronger. Alhamdulillah, we're going to be recording a few podcasts during this holy month, so hopefully, you'll be joining us throughout these podcasts. Today, I'm delighted to be joined by Al-Hajj brother Abdullah Nagem, and inshallah, we'll be talking about the internet, the challenges we face online, challenges we face social media, also as well as the challenges we have with our children. A lot of people will be working from home in the next few weeks. They've probably been working at home for the last few weeks as well, with the month of Ramadan as well. So we're probably spending more time on the internet, and there's a lot of challenges. Some of them we know about, some of them we don't know about. And Abdullah, inshallah, is I believe a cyber expert, a computer expert, and he'll go through the security with us. He'll go through the challenges we face and maybe try and come up with some solutions for us. Because of, obviously, you've seen the podcast, because of the coronavirus, we're taking the precaution of doing this recording and using social distancing. Assalamu alaikum, brother Abdullah.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Thank you for joining us. It's good to have you.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me on your show. It's a great honor and privilege to be in this show.
I'll firstly ask you, how is it going for yourself? Hope you're well, hope you're safe, your family. How are you coping throughout this coronavirus outbreak?
Alhamdulillah, it's been very good. It's been very challenging. It's been in the house. There is a lot of opportunities, which is good. It's the best time to utilize the opportunity. We have a world of knowledge online. We could use that. And it's a great time for us to get closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, at the same time improve on ourselves, our personal development, our knowledge as well, using the internet.
Perfect. It's also interesting that a lot of jobs that were sort of told can only be done in the office are now being you're able to do the same job at home. How important do you feel the internet is today?
Well, that's an interesting topic, to be honest, because a couple of years ago they did this survey. I don't have the actual source of it, but they found out that people are more productive if they work 2 days a week from home. Now that we are forced to work from home, I think it's a good thing. It will give an opportunity for families to bond together because of social media. Now there is not enough bond. People come from work tired and stuff. But to answer your question, I think there are negatives and positives from working from home, just to show that working from home is possible. It's not really a bad thing. The only thing is management can't guarantee people are doing the job, and they're not slouching around. So that's one thing that they're doing. But at the same time, it helps a person who likes to be in the house and doesn't like to go commute in the train or the bus in the busy streets of the metropolitan city. Then it's good for them to be in the home and relax and just wake up at 8 o'clock, just get ready before work and start at 9 a.m.
Before I want to speak about the challenges of social media, challenges of working home, challenges with internet security. Tell us a bit about what you do. What's your job, and how does this come into play with what we're going to discuss today, inshallah?
I'm an information security consultant, and my responsibilities involved looking at what an organization is trying to deliver in their organization or in their company. From the short, medium, and long term, whether it's a project or something else, I look at the information or the data they're going to be using within that project. And I work with the architects in order to assess the risks to that data or information from external and internal malicious users. At the same time, I look into how we could safeguard that information. So I put controls into place. I advise the architects or the organization what they could put in, what safeguard or controls they could put into place to protect that data from unauthorized access. And I've got a vast experience in managing security solutions, vast experience in even building PCs. I've had a hobby. I still have a hobby, in fact, in building PCs and troubleshooting, and I just find it very enjoyable from all aspects of IT.
We'll come to that hobby of yours, inshallah. Maybe you can give us some. But if someone's you're doing information security for different organizations, how did you go about getting into this? I mean, what did you study for this? How did you gain the experience? Was it difficult getting into this career?
At first, actually, I think, to be honest with you, alhamdulillah wa shukr, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has been blessed me with many things in my life. Alhamdulillah, how I got into this role is that originally I was a network engineer. I always wanted to become a network engineer. My degree was in computer networks. I did CCNA, which is a Cisco certification for networking. At the time, I wanted to become a network engineer. However, someone kind of blocked me from becoming that. And then I went to the security manager and I said, I'm interested in security. He asked me to do some certifications. I did some certification. And alhamdulillah, I am where I am right now with 12 years of experience in information security. So I had to do a lot of studies. And to be honest, I'm still studying till today.
Would you, if someone was looking, a lot of people I know maybe looking into networking, computing, a degree, is it a good job to have? Would you advise someone taking up this career, this path, or
absolutely? I mean, no, absolutely. I completely think it's a very important role at the moment in our current society, because there are always malicious users trying to break into companies. And if you could see right now, all these major organizations and companies, they always get hacked. So you need people like me to try to stop them from hacking, because no matter how much controls we put into place, a malicious user will always find a way to break into an organization. There's always loopholes. So we try to stop those at intervals, or whenever we discover something, we try to patch them and try to protect the organization.
With regards to hacking, I mean, sometimes with like the emails I get, I'm talking someone that's really not into computers and the internet so much. I just know how to use them, but like not the details of it. So when it comes to hacking, usually hacking, like the way I see it, is sometimes you get these emails about someone trying to hack your bank details, or someone trying to get into your bank account, or saying that your Apple ID is wrong, or so on. Your email password needs to be. That's sort of the hack. I'm guessing the lower level hacking that certain people will face, someone like me will face. But obviously with big organizations, I'm guessing it's much bigger than that. How does hacking work is my first question, and then I'll the second question, which I want to know, when you try stop that someone hacking, I'm guessing that you sort of know how to hack as well, so you're sort of doing reverse engineering, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely.
So how does hacking work with big organizations? And if you can give us an example, like, I don't know, a bank or an organization that has maybe people's credit card details, how does that work, and how do you try and stop it?
So with regards to large organizations, of course, when large organizations make things work, they have all these different networks or different solutions working together to deliver something. And how it works, imagine a car. It has brakes, it has an engine, it has air conditioning, it's got all sorts of different components. These components work together to deliver something to you. It delivers you a vehicle. Imagine there is a pipe in the air conditioning unit that breaks, or let's just take that for example. Or maybe, I'm not a car expert, I'm just going at a whim here, but anything that breaks in the car, for example, the air conditioning, it will not give you cool weather in the summer. So hot air will come through the air conditioning unit, and it wouldn't be pleasant because that pipe broke. Same with organizations. Sometimes they have all these different solutions working together to deliver something. And if what hackers do, they analyze, they collect data, they do social engineering, they do all sorts of things. They even look at new discoveries, whereas maybe the organization is probably running an older application or software where there is a vulnerability. and they're able to exploit that vulnerability. So what they do is they analyze the data, they analyze the information, and then look at where there's a hole in the organization. They'll try to exploit that and try to extract that information from that solution or from that infrastructure of that organization. So they try to look at where the holes are by studying the solution, attempting to hack, attempting to gain information by social engineering or other means. And then what they'll do is try to exploit that loopholes.
So I'm guessing,
extract the information, of course.
For you to stop the hacking, you also must be someone that is able to hack.
I cannot confirm or deny. I can't confirm or deny that information. But what I do say is,
don't worry.
But I mean, the thing is, hacking is a skill.
Will be used against you in the
yeah. No, but hacking is a specific skill set. There are people who specify their lifetime on hacking, because with hacking you have to understand how an operating system works. For example, Linux, how a Windows machine operating system works, how an Apple operating system works, how an Android works, how an iOS works. So there's so many things. It does take a lifetime and a special interest for you to learn everything about hacking. And there are specialist software out there available to use for you to be able to hack.
With the coronavirus, and everyone's sort of now spending more time at home, working from home, and I'm guessing, again, this is a guess, most people are not so much familiar with all these hacking skills that people use to maybe get into their computers. Or and I mentioned this because maybe at work you have more security on your computer, but maybe now at home there isn't that much security, because maybe especially with those that work on computers, they might have a network that tries and blocks any virus or any hacking devices that try to hack someone's computer. But when you're at home, you might not have that skill set to try and stop a virus or even someone trying to hack into your computer. What should people look out for? What do you think the steps are? If I've been told I work on a computer at office, and now I've been told to go home, I'm using my own laptop. What are there particular steps someone needs to take when they start using, different software or going online?
Absolutely. And I mean, luckily, some people who are forced to work from home in this self-isolation era of pandemics, luckily they have laptops that the work have provided them. And what happens is, whenever they log in to their corporate network, automatically updates are being pushed into that laptop. However, for people who have their personal computers to use, what happens is what they should be doing is that they should always turn on automatic update for Windows or Apple, whereas for example, Microsoft release updates every Tuesday if there is an update available. Make sure that they are up to date, the operating system is up to date, so they're protected from that end. At the same time, they should have an antivirus installed, and that antivirus should be up to date as well. Each antivirus company releases virus definitions, and that gets pushed into the actual antivirus program to update the signatures or update the patterns of any recent viruses that are available. So that's one way of protecting your information as well. At the same time, you should be more wary of what you're browsing, what you're clicking, what you're downloading, what you're executing in your machine. Like example, you mentioned those emails earlier. If you don't have an Apple device and you get an email from Apple, don't open that link. If you get a PDF from the tax office and you don't expect that from a tax office, don't open that file that comes attached in that email. So always check the source of that email address, who's sending you those information. Also, there are controls into place from your email servers. They have spam filters, but they don't always work because malicious users always find a way to deviate from the spam filters and try to make sure that gets reached into your mailbox. But again, you have to be more wary about these things. If it's too dodgy and you don't expect it, don't click that link. I mean, 2 days ago, my dad had a message from the congestion charge zone in London, about he has to update his credit card payment online. He doesn't even have an account for congestion charge because he doesn't go to the city. He doesn't go, and they've put a link on a text message saying, click here and update your credit card details. Really? Do you want my wallet too? Do you want my bank details? So yeah, so they're very crafty. They're very good at looking at vulnerable people who don't understand these things and trying to exploit them in terms of extracting information from them.
You mentioned the word click, and the word clickbait came into my mind.
Yes.
Because what's clickbait, and how does that work?
So clickbait is a form of false advertising. That it is either a link or a thumbnail that entices a user, it attracts the user to click that. For example, people who play games, for example, especially with young children, they play Fortnite or Movie Star Planet or Call of Duty, which they shouldn't be because it's over 18 game, but they do anyway. Yeah. It's unfortunate. Or Minecraft, all these games, or Roblox, all these games, they have this in-app coins that they could purchase and they could use. And for them to have that extra skin or that extra enhancement in the game for them to enjoy themselves, what they do is that they could purchase coins in the game for them to spend inside the game, for them to have that extra skin or whatever, to have that edge and that experience in the game. However, with clickbaits, sometimes you go to these websites and say, click this link and you will earn 500 coins for that specific game that person plays, or 5 coins for that specific website that they want that game, those coins. Because obviously not just games that use coins, there's other applications that use coins as well. So what they do is they click that link. Of course, it will go to different sites. For example, it might go to a site that deviates from our religion. It could be profanity, violence, gambling, narcotics, whatever. Or it could go to a site where it extracts information about your devices. Or it could, worst case scenario, download a software automatically to your computer. And what that does is when you execute that file, it could be a virus, it could be a Trojan horse, it could be a logic bomb that will slow down your machine or do other malicious activity. Or it could be ransomware, which is the worst case scenario where your machine gets encrypted or your files get encrypted, and for the only way for you to unencrypt that machine that have your photos from 10 years ago that you've saved in there and you don't have anywhere else, or any important files. Once it encrypts those files, the only way for you to unencrypt it, you have to pay that malicious user X amount of money, and they don't take cash or credit card because it's traceable. They use cryptocurrency, maybe Bitcoin or something. And then what they'll do is they will give you the code to unencrypt it. But at the same time, you lost possibly thousands of pounds. And that happened to a hospital, I think, somewhere either in the US or in the UK, where their whole systems got encrypted by ransomware. So clickbait is a form of false advertising. And they want you to either read or go to that link and read or view or just look at that content, which is not relevant to you. And it could be worse, which is a virus.
Yeah. You mentioned it's very important, I feel, the kids issue, and sometimes kids maybe using their parents' mobiles, or even they've got their own mobile or they've got their own tablets, and they're playing these games, they're downloading these games, and then sometimes their credit card bill comes at the end of the month of the parents, and it's got hundreds of pounds because the kids be buying, I don't know, some specific weapons on the game, or specific features which he had to pay for, and he was just buying them. So that's one trap. Another issue is sometimes the advertisements. A lot of these maybe games, even sometimes with YouTube, a lot of the videos, in between them or at the start of them, you'll have an ad playing. That's how the game, fact that it's free, or YouTube, the fact that it's a free website to use, it has the way it makes money is by having people advertising on these websites or on these games. And the problem is that sometimes a lot of parents don't know about is some of these adverts are really not appropriate for the kids to see. I mean, there's one app that I use that has an advert, and the advert is, for example, some betting or some gambling website. Obviously, I know that this is something that I shouldn't click on or I shouldn't go into. But for a child, especially, I feel now that which I'm really against, by the way, is I see kids at the age of 4 or 5, they've got their tablets, or they've got even a mobile. Hopefully not at that age, but they've all got their tablets and they're doing their own thing, and they'll spend hours on these tablets, and the parents don't know what's going on. And I'm talking about the really young kids. What there's a lot of challenges there. What could the parents do to stop this stuff, or to try and
Absolutely.
at least understand it?
Yeah, I completely agree. And this is a massive subject. It's a huge subject in a number of ways. So let's take, for example, kids currently in this modern era of technology. Parents, I feel they want to keep their kids calm. And from an age of like 6 months, 7 months, when they're having breakfast, the baby or the child or the toddler has a tablet in front of them for them to be calm, for them to be quiet. And there isn't that interaction anymore. Even like a 60-year-old, when he comes home from work or when he's in the house, he doesn't interact with his family because he can't be bothered. He's either on Instagram, WhatsApp, or whatever, or Facebook, and he's talking to his friends from wherever around the world. So the challenge here is that we now giving too much to children, and subconsciously this is affecting their minds.
Yeah.
For example, you mentioned these adverts. There is a game that a lot of people enjoy playing, where it's a worm and it goes around and it eats food, and the more it eats, it grows, and it's fun. Okay, and I enjoy it sometimes when I'm really bored. I play it, and the kids love this. They play all the time, and what's happening is every time the level is over and they die, there's an advert right in the middle, and what's the advert? Is gambling. Now they probably don't understand it now, but subconsciously this is kind of saying, don't worry, this is okay. So when they grow older, this is for them, it's normal because they've seen it, they've grown into it. And there's not just that, there's a lot of adverts of that sort that is causing them issue. There's also online chat rooms, which is a problem for the children because, for example, Call of Duty or for Roblox or Minecraft, social tool where people could interact with other players, either via voice conversation or a chat window. Now, the challenge here is some of these chat rooms are moderated, and there are also, if there is profanity, so bad language, it gets censored. The problem we have is that obviously malicious people, there's a lot of people out there that have low morals, they want to bully young people. And what they do, they have ways in terms of trying to get more information about them. They try to get their numbers, to text them via private messages maybe. What they do is they try to find a way to try to extract information from a 7-year-old while they're 46 or whatever, or 50 or 60 years old, and try to extract information and manipulate young kids. So there's a big problem that with social media at the moment. So the idea here is you can't stop them from using the internet. That's impossible. Now we live in this special modern time, and the peer pressure with their friends who use tablets and they go online and do all sorts of things online. They could be creative or they could play games. So you can't stop them. It's an addiction. So what we can do to protect ourselves is a number of ways. We can, of course, make sure that the devices that they are using are patched, which means they're up to date. They have the latest update. There is an antivirus installed on those devices, same as with a PC or a laptop. At the same time, parents should install parental control on their phones or tablets, because that first of all limits the time about how long they will be using this device. At the same time, it will allow the parent to restrict certain applications. You mentioned YouTube. YouTube is over 18 because some of the content in there is not appropriate for kids. They've changed it now. There's a section where an upload that YouTuber will say it's made for kids. But still, because the parent is an over 18 person, he's logged into his YouTube account. When the young person uses that phone, he's going to be using the YouTube for adults, even though the videos for kids. So they're going to be content in there for adults. So they should be using YouTube Kids, even though not a lot of the content are available in YouTube Kids, but still it will put some limit in there. And the kids will hate you for that, by the way. If you put YouTube Kids, they will hate you because it's restricting them from a lot of things. With regards to purchases, application, when they get these in-game apps or these tools that they could maybe buy the pro version and they pay a bit of more money. What parents should do, they should put a password on their App Store or Google Play, so that every time they want to purchase something, they should, it prompts them for a password. So before they purchase it, kind of a safeguard. So you know what, you want to purchase this, is good, it's fun, but guess what? You need to put a password. If the password's correct, then the purchases go through. And parents would have to get involved, because they're going to say, what are you trying to buy? And then if they say, I want to buy this gun, I say, no. Why would we want to buy a gun? For the game, I'm talking. So all these things.
Yeah.
So there's many safeguards you could put, but at the same time, and this is really important, I think parents should have an open discussion with their children about some of the dangers online. They should go and say, you know what, they should sit down with the kids, not to kind of look over the shoulder and say, you know what, don't do that, don't go there. If they see something that is not against or something that's against our religion, they should speak to them, say, you know what, this is haram, this is not how Islam is. They advertise that because this is in their culture, it's allowed, stuff like this. We have at this time now, we have to be best friends with our children, because if we are not best friends with our children at all ages, I know the Prophet says, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, that after the age of, I believe, from 7 to 14, you have to, of course, teach them. From over 14, you have to be their best friend. But I think it's always a good time to be their best friend. At the same time, raising them is for you to teach them about some of the dangers. You have to be a parent that they want to come to you and speak to, because kids are afraid to come and speak to their parents about some of the experiences online, because they're going to get penalized, they're going to get in trouble, especially if they saw something that is not within our circle of religion or not within our religion remits. So we should educate our children about the dangers of online, see what they do.
I think, it's important, because we concentrate, I feel, on our ethical behavior. I mean, ethics is a big point when it comes to Muslims. How we portray ourselves, how we act, how we behave with each other. This is something, we always take the ethics of the Holy Prophet, his family.
Absolutely.
How we should behave with our family members, with our parents, with our kids, how we should behave with the elders. It's just part of religion. I feel, and I don't know, I'm sure you agree, that there also needs to be some sort of ethical way when it comes to online usage, when it comes to the internet, when it comes to social media. Because sometimes, I'll use this as an example, sometimes I'll feel a bit, I'll feel shy, or I'll feel that it's not right for me to speak to the opposite sex, opposite gender, face to face, or to interact with them if I see them. But then when I go online, it's okay for me to DM them, to direct message them. It's okay for me to like and give them hearts and speak to them online, because that interaction is not there. I feel, okay, so I'm not doing anything haram when it's online. So I feel the problem, or hopefully it's not a problem, but it may lead to a problem where we feel that it's okay to do these things online, because one, no one's seeing us, so we forget that Allah is seeing us, obviously. And two, because the parents, this is the question I want to ask you, is you're saying, we should be familiar with the internet, we should be familiar with social media sites. A lot of the younger generation will have Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, whereas the older generation don't even know what Facebook or Instagram or Twitter is. Maybe recently now, because they're on lockdown, they'll sort of maybe have these apps.
Yeah, absolutely. They're forced into it, yeah.
Don't you think, that for us to understand, that for us to face these challenges, we must understand these social media sites?
Yeah, and I think this is something that is it's an issue for us, because like I said, we're jumping from this generation of who have no idea about some of the features available online to a generation where they know everything about the internet. And with regards to social media, it's kind of, there is a study that shows that social media, in terms of Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter and whatever, they have a negative effect on young people. they young people tend to suffer from depression and anxiety. The reason being is because they look at these influences online where they have this bling lifestyle, they have these beautiful cars, they have these beautiful trainers, I don't know, these belts or whatever, Gucci belts or whatever, and everyone loves those things. So what they want to do is they want to live up to that expectation, and because they want it on the short term, not in the long term, and they could reach that position if they study, if they finish their degree, or they maybe open their own business or whatever, and they work and they become wealthy, then they could buy those things. But because they can't achieve those goals in the short period of time, hence they get depressed and they suffer from anxiety. So it's very difficult for families to control, but this is it. We have to, as families, we have to sit down with our kids. We have to portray the teaching of Islam, what it's all about. We have to go back to, when I was a kid, the best stories were told by my dad, and there was, about the prophets and about the imams, stuff that, I just sat down and it just put me into this world of, it just felt so amazing to know that to learn about these different stories. Now, all this material is available online. If your parents can't be bothered to teach you, or they don't have the time, you have an encyclopedia to do anything you want. In fact, now that we're on lockdown, I've been giving my brothers haircuts. I've cut my hands twice. Yeah. I've done it twice. I've cut my hand twice. But I never given anyone a haircut before. But now I give my brother a skin fade. I mean, it wasn't great, but I think in the next couple of times it will be better. So it's an opportunity for us to look stuff online on YouTube or whatever and try to learn. There's people do oil painting. There's people trying to learn about personal development. DIY, exactly, yeah, DIY, so it's amazing. It's a good opportunity for us to use this tool to play games. Fine, let's play games, let's enjoy ourselves, but also allocate some time to learn about the Ahlul Bayt, allocate some time to read 2 or 3 verses about the Quran, understand what they are, do the tafsir, 2 or 3 hadith, for example, learn about hadith. Just allocate your time, your day to learn, to develop yourself, because at the end of the day, you could play games, it's fun, you're not achieving anything. But if you split your time and then try to develop yourself, it'll be a lot better for you in the future as well.
I think, this is the sort of, you can say, the perfect time for parents to build that relationship with their kids, to try and understand the challenges that they're going through. I know there's going to be a lot of issues, maybe of someone spending a lot of time at home with his wife and kids. Maybe he's not used to that, but maybe make the best out of it. And I think you mentioned something really important, and that is dividing your day into a time where you can do what, Netflix or play a game or whatever it is online, but at the same time there needs to be time for the Quran, there needs to be time for spending with your family, doing a skill, I don't know, DIY, like you said, painting, all these essential life skills which you can learn if you don't know as a parent, and teach your kids. You can learn them together, or if you know them, then you can teach your kids. But I want to move to something else, which is always something that's bugged me, and I've always wanted to ask someone that's into this security, online security, about, which is sometimes, and I want you to tell me the truth, because I'm sure there's something behind this. Sometimes I speak about something with my friend or my family, and then all of a sudden I'll see the advert pop up on my Facebook or on my Instagram, or I don't know, another social media site that I'm using. For example, I'll speak about, I don't know, a specific car or a specific brand, and then that brand will all of a sudden start advertising on my phone. Are they listening to us through our phones?
It's an interesting question, and officially, no, they're not. They're not doing anything of that sort. Unofficially, yes, they are. So they will not disclose that information. I believe, as an information security consultant, they are collecting everything about you. Okay, they're putting it in a database somewhere. Call me conspiracy theorist or whatever, but there are evidence. There are evidence in the past few times where where Apple or Google, they collect information about you. So they do that anyway. And with regards to you speaking about these things, I mean, I wouldn't really think that they got within that extent. They only probably, I mean, Alexa, for example, a few people who have that at home, whenever you ask Alexa something, of course, that goes in a database. So when you ever go into your laptop or machine or phone that's connected to Alexa, it will advertise adverts based on your conversations or based on your search, because every time you visit a site, for example, you go to for Amazon, let's say the biggest provider of things, and you search something to do, a towel, for example. It's a very nice, expensive towel. What happens is that page will install a cookie. It's called a cookie into your browser, so that makes the experience faster. So next time you log into Amazon to look at that towel, it straight away goes to the towel without it taking a long time to load. That cookie.
Can you stop that online?
You can
stop cookies.
You can stop cookies online, but I mean, some banks, they stop all cookies. Some organizations don't, because it slows down the machine. So when you load, and I don't feel really there is importance in stopping them, but I don't feel you should be. Okay, it's not that big. However, there are ways to hack a machine using cookies, but of course, all the modern antiviruses have protection against that, unless they found something new or something that the antivirus can't stop. But don't worry about disabling cookies. I think that's a bit extreme.
Yeah.
But with regards to cookies, it makes the experience of loading to that website much quicker. What happens is, whenever you visit another website that has advertising on the side, it look at your cookie history and says, oh yeah, he visited an Amazon 2-3 days ago and he wanted a towel. I don't know if you bought it or not, but let's just put that towel there anyway, just in case you forgot about it. So maybe he'll purchase it. Of course, when you click that link, the website that you're visiting, that's how they will generate revenue through advertising. And then if you want to buy it, you buy it. If you don't buy it, then you don't buy it. But at least they've tried to make you buy it. So with regards to voice conversation, it's possible. I haven't seen any evidence where they will listen to your conversation based on your things that you've spoken about. However, if they want, they can turn on your microphone or your camera at any time. Of course, they have to have a court order, or they say they need a court order. But I think if you are a special interest to national security in any country, they will do it without a court order.
So the specific ads that you'll see on different social media sites, it's just because of these cookies and because you've searched for these things.
Yes.
They'll sort of turn up, even though a lot of the times some people say, well, I haven't searched for it, but all of a sudden I'm getting an ad about it.
Yeah, I mean, it's possible because, I mean, sometimes I search on things on my phone and all of a sudden I see it on my PC, and it's two different systems, but because they are because my emails, for example, your Gmail, your Hotmail, your any sort of or even Microsoft Office, they're connected. So if you use it on your phone, you also use it on your PC. If you use it on your Mac, you also use it on your on your tablet. So they're connected. So whatever you search, the information gets passed around, so that they make sure that they utilize advertising as much as possible for them to generate revenue. Remember, now companies, they don't make money anymore by selling software or they're selling things. Okay, so now what they do is it's all about advertising. That's why there's a lot of tools that you get on your phone right now on your App Store or Google Play that are free. And you think, why is that free? That must have taken them ages to develop. But they have advertising, and that's how they generate their revenue. That's how they generate their money.
What about with our stuff, our certain details, or sometimes our photos or our files being in this cloud? How does the cloud work? And does that mean if your photos, your personal important things, that can that be hacked? And should we be worried about that?
We shouldn't be worried, not at all. I mean, probably a few years ago I would have said yes, but no. Because what happens is with cloud, it's I want to say it in very basic term. Imagine it's a very big computer that has loads of hard drives, and each of one of those hard drives is a space for a specific user. Sometimes one hard drive could have 2,000 users or 100,000 users, depending on the size of the hard drive. That's called multi-tenant. What happened is they split that hard drive into the different users and allocate space for them. Now, how it works is that location is encrypted, and the only person who can access that location is yourself. Of course, if you use weak passwords or don't use biometrics, then it's more easier for it to be hacked. For example, if you lose your phone and there's no password on it, and a malicious user or a person logs into that phone or opens that phone, he's able to browse those photos or those documents or whatever. So the cloud is a location, it's a safe location virtually on the internet, on a data center somewhere. that the data in there is encrypted. The only way for it to be unencrypted is two ways. Either you use weak passwords, or there is a vulnerability with the actual solution itself. And most of these organizations, they do a lot of penetration testing, vulnerability scanning of that specific solution with regards to the cloud where the information is stored, so that they don't get hacked. I'm not saying it's not possible, but so far it hasn't happened in a major scale. But it's possible, it can happen.
Just so listeners, viewers can understand, what's a biometric password, and
So-
why is it important to create a password that's not the
So-
city you were born in plus the year of your birth or something like I do?
Because, okay, so yeah, don't do that. Thanks for telling me, by the way. Now I could hack into your into your devices. But what happens is if you use your name, your date of birth, that is ready available information. Like I could find out when it's your birthday by just checking Facebook. I could find out what your pet name is just by looking at your social media. So all that information is readily available. So you shouldn't be using that. Password and biometrics are different. Passwords could be something you type. Maybe, I don't know, my cat loves food. I don't know, something like that, with numbers and lowercase and characters and stuff like that. However, biometrics, it could be your retina, your facial scan, your retina, your fingerprint. This is biometrics. So, of course, biometrics is more secure, but some people don't like to have Google or Apple store their personal data. Remember, all these organizations are storing your data, even your passwords. So it's all down to the user. Just make sure you use complex passwords. However, I think in the next 5 to 10 years, it's going to change to mainly biometrics. Everything's going to be biometrics because it's more secure.
The $1 million question, as they say, or pound question is, and you're someone that I realized uses a Samsung, but Android or Apple, and why?
It's a very good
Because
question.
That's what everyone really wants to know from this. Should they buy a Samsung, an Android, or should they buy an Apple phone?
If you have a lot of money, go for Apple.
Yeah.
If you have,
okay, so it's to do with money.
I think so, because I think what it is, I like Samsung because two reasons. The Android operating system, it's customizable, and I mean it comes with its negatives, of course. I don't want to mention those because I'm a Samsung fan. But with Apple, it's locked down. It's very easy to use. It's nice. However, when it comes to technology, they're always far behind compared to Apple. Sorry, compared to Samsung. Apple's always far behind compared to Samsung. For some reason, I don't know. Samsung or Huawei or HTC. I forgot the last. There's another manufacturer that's quite big as well. They always release innovative ideas, innovative technology that always, pushes the edge. iPhone, for some reason, I think because they have the market, they don't release all the latest tech straight away. But I tell you, they have an amazing camera. The iOS is so easy to use, especially for older people. And it looks nice. I must admit, it's beautiful. But at the same time, when it comes to Samsung or Huawei, they also have nice designs. It's just the operating system different. It's a little bit harder to use. It's more customizable. There are vulnerabilities on the Samsung and on the Android and on iOS, Apple iOS. However, there is more on the Android. That's why they patch it all the time. There's pros and cons. I think because I started with Samsung, it was cheaper at the time. When you're a student and the technology is still growing, so I bought Samsung, and since I've been buying their applications and stuff, hence I stayed with Samsung. But I mean, they're both good phones and they're both good applications.
I mean, in the last 10 years, I feel technology has developed so much, especially the last few years. But I feel that the internet, technology is now sort of facing its biggest challenge with so many people now depending on for example, the internet, because a lot of businesses, schools, colleges, universities, because of coronavirus, the last few weeks, they've had to use the internet to continue what they're doing, whether it's studying, teaching, or whether it's running their own business. If they can work from home, they've now sort of depended on the internet. And the question is, a lot of because there's so much pressure now on the internet. Can the internet handle the strain of the rapid traffic growth and the increased usage in the last, from maybe less use where we had interaction with people, and now we're sort of depending on the internet. Can the internet handle the strain, or is the internet? Are we going to have a catastrophic failure of the internet?
No. I think the internet will be able to handle all this load, because if you look, for example, companies when they use the internet, they use it from the offices. So we've always used the internet. However, the only difference is that when you're in the office, obviously they use specific type of internet connection. They use fiber connection, is much faster, upload and download speed is much quicker, whereas it's different from where you are in the house. It's much slower at home. But I think with the current pandemic and the issues that we're stuck in the house, I think the companies will be forced to upgrade their backbones systems or backbone infrastructure to be able to handle the load for the home users. So organizations, companies, they're well covered. They got all the capacity. But I think now they're going to be forced to upgrade their home users' capacity to a much stronger load in order to be able to handle all that traffic. But I think you mentioned challenges with regards to the internet. And I think in the next 5 years, a lot of people are going to, I think with regards, because we mentioned social interaction with the families and stuff, and we're not bonding as much as we used to before. I don't know if you've noticed, but now there's this technology called the VR headset, and it's amazing. Oh my God, you could do so much. You could play games that are amazing, in terms of virtual reality, and you could be in locations that you could never even dream to be in. At the same time, you could use a VR headset to be very creative. You could do painting, and you could do all sorts of things, or even architecture, by putting the VR set on your head. However, I think if we're not too careful in the next 5 to 10 years, I think possibly when you come, I don't even think you need to leave the house anymore. You could just sit in the house, and each person has a VR set over their head, and they just how they interact with each other. That's what I'm worried about. I think we never said the internet is going to overtake us 10 years ago, and look where it's taken us now. And I think in the next 10 years, it's going to be very different. So we have to be careful on how we tread in this, in this world of this technology, in this world of innovative ideas and capability that we have.
Yeah, I think it's very important. You mentioned that we have to be careful, especially during this time. I mean, I was reading an article a few days ago how some fraudsters were selling fake coronavirus tests, or even some people selling, fake masks. Or
absolutely,
I think we have to be more sensible, and I feel that as a Muslim community, we have to look at maybe doing more online courses for people to try and get them to understand the internet better, understand social media sites better, to understand how to use the internet safely, to not get hacked, all these stuff, especially the maybe the older generation who are not so much familiar with the internet. They like you said, they'll be more vulnerable to someone hacking them, someone taking, the simple example you gave of your father receiving an email about updating his congestion charge credit card details when he doesn't even have an account.
Exactly, yeah.
So maybe, of course he didn't have an account, but maybe someone else who had an account might fall for that and then put his credit card details, and before you know it, we're going through all this coronavirus outbreak, and then his credit card gets hacked, and he'll face a lot of issues. So I think more needs to be done. I'm really happy that you've come on the show and you've explained.
Thank you very much.
I'm sure, and inshallah we can do more of this stuff where people can understand the internet better and can browse safely.
Inshallah,
because I think that's a problem that we don't speak about much.
No, we don't.
Because maybe the younger generation are used to not getting hacked, or they're used to using the internet. But now maybe a lot of people who are not so much used and who are not so much familiar with the internet might fall into that trap.
Yeah, I think a lot of people don't understand. Even if they get hacked, they don't know why. So they have these adverts popping up on their desktop for no apparent reason, because they don't know why they have it, or the machine is slower for some reason because they have no idea. So it's possible. I mean, the issue we have is the older generation, of course, is they don't understand that. The younger generation understands it but don't know how to protect themselves. And even lectures now, if you want to listen to a lecture online, if you want to listen to a lecture, you don't have to go to a majlis anymore. You could all do it in the house. So I'm really scared that in the next few years, that social interaction is going to break up. It's not going to be available anymore. So hence, we need to find a solution where we could interact socially, inshallah.
Inshallah. Well, I really want to thank you for joining us today.
Thank you very much.
Especially because we're in this holy month and we're fasting and we're through this coronavirus. But thank you for making time to join us. Inshallah, the viewers, the listeners can benefit from this,
Inshallah.
hopefully. And I pray that you're safe and protected during this difficult time. Thank you, Brother Abdullah.